Cold open. Dale Kowalski was 38 years old, divorced, and currently the third shift supervisor at a grain silo in Nebraska. His biggest professional achievement was preventing a corn dust explosion by remembering to turn off a space heater. His biggest personal achievement was surviving his ex-wife's family reunion without saying anything he regretted. So when the recruitment terminal appeared in his kitchen, humming, glowing, faintly smelling of ozone and cinnamon for reasons nobody would ever explain, Dale did not scream. He did not call the police. He poured himself coffee, sat down, and read the offer. Seeking qualified applicants for high-risk off-world operations. Compensation, substantial. Survival rate, not guaranteed. Dale thought about his silo shift tomorrow. He thought about his empty apartment. He signed the form with the pen that came with it. "Hey," he said. "Beats overtime." Warning scene. The recruiter was a floating orb of light that called itself Administrator Vex. Its voice came out flat and clinical, like a GPS reading a eulogy. Human. Before finalization, you must understand the mortality statistics. 94% of non-native operatives assigned to Kepler-9 do not return. The atmosphere corrodes standard alloy in under 6 hours. The wildlife has killed 3 Grade A combat units this cycle alone. Dale nodded slowly, sipping the last of his coffee, which the orb had apparently synthesized, for him out of pure curiosity about human rituals. "Sounds like my last apartment," Dale said. "Landlord never fixed the mold either." "This is not a joke, human Kowalski." "Never said it was." The orb pulsed. A gesture Dale would later learn was the alien equivalent of a long, tired sigh. "Very well. Report to Base 7 at dawn. Don't blame me," it said, dimming. "If you come back in a box." Dale set his mug in the sink. "Wouldn't be the first time," he muttered, and went to pack a duffel bag. Squad introduction. Base 7 smelled like machine oil and something vaguely like burnt matches. Dale arrived 5 minutes early, which put him 20 minutes behind everyone else. First was Threll, a Voskari warrior nearly 9 feet tall, her skin a deep obsidian that absorbed light instead of reflecting it. 3 curved horns swept back from her skull like a crown made of bone knives. She had survived the second HFY campaign, a war so brutal that entire star system still observed a day of silence for it. She did not blink when she looked at Dale. She barely seemed to register him at all. Second was Yorubel Bar, a Sethri logistics and combat specialist whose body was covered in faintly bioluminescent plating that shifted color with his mood, currently a suspicious assessing blue. He had designed the emergency evacuation protocol used by 4 separate fleets after single-handedly extracting a stranded battalion from a collapsing gas giant. His 4 arms moved with the fussy precision of someone who alphabetized his own weapons. Third was a thick, small insectile, and covered in fine iridescent hairs that vibrated when she spoke, translating her clicks into a prim, clipped accent. She was a xenobiologist who had cataloged over 12,000 species capable of killing a person in under a second. She looked at Dale the way a scientist looks at an unlabeled jar. And then there was Dale. No horns, no plating, no compound eyes. Just a guy in a beige jacket holding a duffel bag with a busted zipper, looking like he'd wandered in looking for the DMV. "This," Orubel said slowly, his plating flickering yellow with confusion, "is the 4th operative?" "Yep," Dale said. "Dale." "Dale," Threll repeated, testing the word like it might be a trap. "What is your combat classification?" "I ran a grain silo." The 3 aliens looked at each other. Theka's hairs buzzed in what Dale would later learn was the alien equivalent of a wince. "A structure," Theka clarified, "for storing seeds?" "Corn, mostly." Nobody said anything for a long moment. Then Threll turned back toward the ship ramp, muttering something in her own language that the translator rendered, unhelpfully, as, "This will be a short mission." Dale shrugged and followed them aboard. Comedy escalation loop. "The planet's atmosphere," Theka announced as the ship left orbit, "contains particulate acid rain, capable of dissolving reinforced hull plating in 90 seconds. Dale considered this. Sounds like Ohio in March. Ohio? Rain that eats your car's paint job if you don't wash it off. Regional thing. Theka's hairs buzzed rapidly, which Dale would learn meant alarm. "There are gravitational anomalies," Orubel said, reviewing a data pad, "that fluctuate between standard and 4 times standard without warning. Grade A units have had their spines compressed. Grandma's basement stairs, Dale said. Steep, uneven. One of 'em's just gone one day. You learned to read the room. Orubel's plating flashed a deep, worried violet. The apex predator of the region, Threll said, hunts by sound resonance. It can shatter bone from 40 meters using vocal frequency alone. My ex-mother-in-law, Dale said, could do that from across a Thanksgiving table. Silence. Then Threll, very slowly. Did you survive this? 10 years. Filed for divorce eventually. There is a fungal bloom, Theka added, that releases spores capable of dissolving lung tissue within one respiratory cycle. Grain dust, Dale said immediately. Silo work. You don't wear a mask. You're coughing up something that looks like drywall for a week. You did this voluntarily? Union didn't cover the good masks. The terrain itself, Orubel said, voice tightening, is composed of unstable crystalline formations that collapse under weight distributions, above 40 kilograms. Ice fishing, Dale said. You learn real quick where not to stand. Threll stared at him. You have encountered this exact scenario before. On your homeworld. For recreation, wasn't recreation. Was Tuesday. By the 5th round, the 3 aliens had stopped arguing and simply started taking notes. Arrival and world reveal. Kepler 9 looked like a bruise given a landscape. The sky churned a sickly green-yellow, streaked with slow-rolling acid clouds that hissed faintly as they passed overhead. The ground was a shifting mosaic of black crystalline plates, glittering with a beauty that promised nothing but pain. The moment the airlock hissed open, Orubel's plating flared bright warning red. His suit's cooling system was already screaming under the ambient heat. Theka's exoskeletal joints locked and unlocked in visible discomfort, her translator crackling with static from atmospheric interference. Threll, the biggest and strongest of them, staggered slightly as the gravity fluctuation Orubel had warned about hit without notice, nearly buckling her knees. Dale stepped off the ramp in his beige jacket, sneakers crunching on the crystal. Huh, he said. Reminds me of Duluth in February. Human, Threll said through gritted teeth, straining against the gravity spike. How are you standing? Dale shrugged. Bad knee already. This ain't much worse. The rain started, the acid rain, the one that could eat hull plating in 90 seconds. It pattered against Dale's jacket. He looked down at a small burn hole appearing in the fabric, mildly annoyed. "Oh, come on," he muttered. That was my good jacket. He did not remove it. He did not run for shelter. He simply zipped it higher and kept walking. While behind him 3 elite operatives fought their failing equipment, just to remain conscious. Theka's hairs buzzed out a single, disbelieving thought that the translator rendered flatly. Unregistered anomaly. Episodic danger montage. The squad's shelter dome went up in under an hour, reinforced against the acid rain and gravitational spikes. Inside, Orubel ran diagnostics on cracked suit plating while Threll iced a bruised shoulder from the gravity buckle. Dale sat outside on an overturned equipment crate, in the rain, eating a granola bar. Human, Orubel shouted through the dome speaker. The atmosphere burns through the jacket, yeah. Figured that out. Dale examined the growing hole with detached curiosity. Doesn't seem to do much to skin, though. Little tingly. Like a sunburn that's mad at you. Theka's internal log entry recorded that night. Read. Subject. Kowalski's dermal layer exhibits resistance to corrosive compounds. Inconsistent with known human physiology. Recommend further study. Also recommend not mentioning this to command as no one will believe it. The bone-shattering predator, a vast, serpentine thing the squad called a Shrieker, found their camp at dusk. Threll and Orubel scrambled for sonic dampeners, screaming static filling the dome as the creature's resonant call rattled, equipment off shelves. Dale stepped outside with a metal pot lid in each hand. What are you doing? Threll bellowed over the noise. Grew up near a shooting range, Dale said. You get real used to loud. He banged the lids together. Hard off rhythm, right back at the creature. The Shrieker recoiled, confused by the counter noise, and slithered off into the crystal fields, deeply unimpressed. Orubel stared at the retreating creature, then at Dale, then at the pot lids. That should not have worked. Worked on raccoons back home, too. The crystalline ground gave way beneath Pathika mid-patrol, plunging her into a fissure of unstable shards. The squad's rescue protocol required grappling cables, harnesses, and a 40-minute stabilization sequence, Protocol Threll began immediately, hands shaking with adrenaline. Dale walked over. Lay down flat on the crystal to distribute his weight. Ice fishing? Told you. And reached down, hauling Pitheka out by one arm like he was pulling a kid out of a ball pit. You should have fallen through as well, Pitheka said, hairs vibrating in something close to shock. Your mass exceeds mine. Yeah, well, Dale dusted off his knees. You gotta lie flat. Spreads the weight. My uncle taught me that before a lake ate his truck. Threll's official mission log that night contained a single entry. The human continues to survive situations that should kill him, using methods that make no tactical sense, and yet function regardless. I am beginning to suspect our understanding of this species is incomplete. A localized gravity spike, worse than any before, nearly 6 times standard, hit the camp without warning. Orubel's suit locked up entirely, joints frozen mid-stride, forcing him to the ground. Threll's horns cracked against a crystal outcropping as she was slammed down. Thika's exoskeleton groaned audibly under the sudden weight. Dale, mid-sip of reconstituted coffee, simply sat down hard on his equipment crate. Woof, he said. Feels like Thanksgiving dinner settling. The gravity spike lasted 4 minutes. When it passed, Orubel's diagnostic readout showed his suit had nearly failed catastrophically. Dale's coffee had spilled a little on his sleeve. Human, Orubel said, voice hoarse, staring at him. During that event, you did not attempt to brace. You did not attempt to compensate. You simply sat. Wasn't going to win that fight standing up, Dale said. Sometimes you just let gravity have its moment. Status flip. By day 12, something had shifted. Threll no longer walked ahead of Dale on patrol. She walked beside him, watching how he moved across ground that should not have supported anyone. Orubel began quietly logging Dale's folksy solutions into the squad's official tactical database, flagged under a new category he'd created called Kowalski protocols. Thika, ever the scientist, finally said what none of them had voiced aloud. You are not weak, she said one evening, hairs buzzing low and careful. You are simply calibrated differently. We assumed unremarkable meant fragile. We were incorrect. Dale, chewing on a ration bar, just shrugged. Everybody's built for something. Turns out I'm built for this. Threll, for the first time since Bay 7, didn't look at him like a liability. She looked at him like backup. Cliffhanger close. They found the signal on day 14, buried 3 kilometers beneath the crystal fields, in a chamber. None of their scanners should have been able to detect a structure ancient, humming, with the same ozone and cinnamon energy as the recruitment terminal that had once appeared in Dale's kitchen. Thaka's reading spiked violently. This is not native technology. This predates the founding species records by... This is not possible. Threll's weapon powered up on instinct, horns lowering. Something is waking up down there. Orubel's plating flashed a color none of them had a name for yet. Dale set down his coffee, looked at the pulsing chamber below, and felt, for the first time since he'd signed that recruitment form at his kitchen table, a small, cold flicker of interest. Huh, he said quietly. That's new. The ground began to hum beneath their boots.